Philosophy is a tool. It is the language we use to connect with others, ourselves, and the universe. It is the framework we rely on when the chaos of life freezes and we are left staring into the void. Most of our lives are defined by momentum. We are pulled along by continuous distractions, environmental noise, and the chaotic thrill of the everyday. But eventually, that momentum breaks. The chaos settles. And when the noise fades away, what is left behind is a sudden, heavy, and profound silence. We immediately feel the weight of that absence. Left in the quiet, we begin an instinctual hunt, searching for meaning or something entirely new to fill the empty space. This psychological vacuum demands a new way to process our reality. We need a specific vocabulary to make sense of ourselves in the quiet, turning philosophy into a vital survival tool. Without the constant buzz of daily life to distract us, the human experience feels remarkably isolated. We are left alone with our own thoughts, trying to parse out our place in the silence. This is where we reach for a bridge. Philosophy acts as the exact medium we use to project those internal thoughts outward, connecting us back to other people, and ultimately to the wider cosmos. Yet this tool works in both directions. While it reaches out to the universe, it also forces a sharp inward turn, anchoring us to a profoundly spiritual understanding of ourselves. It is a mechanism built specifically to break the isolation of the human condition. To truly connect with the universe around us, we must learn to speak its deliberate language. The primary function of this language is deconstruction. It grants us explicit permission to interrogate the reality we live in. It aims at our deeply held beliefs, pulling apart rigid structures we assume to be absolute truth. Philosophy operates as an aggressive dismantling mechanism, forcing us to examine these disconnected pieces. This volatile state requires courage, actively participating in the collapse of your worldview. Out of that collapse, a fertile realm of thought emerges, a space that serves as the birthing ground for new concepts and civilizations. This internal collapse is the necessary clearing. By pulling apart what we once assumed to be true, we finally create the space required to build something new from the wreckage. In this space, the usual rules of logic begin to shift. The rigid relationship between asking and answering breaks down. Here, you encounter a strange paradox. A question is never just an empty void waiting to be filled. By the time a philosophical question is formed and spoken, it is already an answer in itself. We step onto a stage where the binary constraints of absolute right and absolute wrong dissolve entirely. That isn't to say everyone is perfectly correct, but rather that no one is entirely wrong. The system gives us the power to process reality entirely at our own highly specific individual level of consciousness. At the core of this discipline lies a single fundamental engine. One specific particle drives the entire process: thinking. Within this system, a strict rule of conservation applies. No thought, no matter how small or seemingly insignificant, is ever wasted. Every single micro-thought is captured and utilized. A raw idea will eventually take physical shape. It will morph into a fresh question, and inevitably, it forces the birth of a completely new answer. Thinking is not a passive state of reflection. It is an aggressive, continuous chain reaction that constantly generates and regenerates our reality. When we zoom out, we see these individual answers begin to stack. They accumulate over time, creating a collective history of thought that moves us forward. This reservoir of insight acts as a compass. It elevates our capability and offers a way to navigate through the chaos that once overwhelmed us. By transforming the frightening silence into a series of navigable truths, we find the steady ground needed to rescue the human spirit from the weight of the unknown. Philosophy translates the raw, empty silence of the universe into the specific, evolving map of our collective salvation.